Whole world is warning you about AI. It'll take your job, your skills, maybe even take over, period. Fine. But if it's so dangerous, why do we keep handing it more? We hand it the route, the words, the plan, dinner. Every time the machine offers to decide, watch your own chest. That drop in your shoulders, that exhale. And nobody warned you about that part. That isn't fear, it's relief. You see, you're not afraid of being replaced. You're tired. Tired of choosing, tired of writing, tired of holding it all together, tired somewhere down deep of being the one behind the wheel. So we have been making a trade. Quiet, daily, no paperwork. We hand the machine a piece of the load, and it hands us back rest. And I want to show you what's really inside that trade. And I'm going to go first because a few months ago, I let a machine into the most important room I ever sit in, a room where a family is grieving. And I'm going to tell you that entire story, including the part I'm still not very proud of. A team up at MIT hooked people up to brain scanners and had them write essays, some in their own heads and some with AI doing the writing. The AI group's brains went quiet. Less connection, less engagement, less memory of what they had supposedly written. The researchers named that cognitive debt. Use the machine for your thinking. Like any debt, the bill arrives later. You reach for that muscle, and the muscle isn't there. Now, one detail worth stealing before we move. The people who wrote their own draft first and brought the machine in second, their brain stayed lit. Same tool, different order. So hold on to that. Now, you have heard some version of this over the years, I'm sure. Some warning AI is making us dumber. And you nod because agreeing costs you nothing. And this is where I'm supposed to tell you, so use your brain. The end. Nope. Now, all of it's true. It's not actually the problem. The problem is underneath that floor. Stay with me. Somebody you love, someone that you have to love on paper, sends you an email. You know the kind, the one with history in it, with risk in it, where one wrong sentence and Thanksgiving is ruined for a decade. And you read it twice, and your whole body says the same thing. I can't do this one. And then there's a window open, just one tab over. They can. So you copy and you paste it in. And the machine, no dog in the fight, no wound in the memory, writes back something patient, something generous, something better than you had in you at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. You send it, and it works. The relationship gets better. And there's that exhale again. Relief with a receipt that you haven't seen yet. Like, I'm not guessing about that. Researchers at Stanford and Cornell have spent years studying what happens when AI steps into our messages. Jeff Hancock's team found that machine assisted conversations, yeah, that's a thing, actually build more trust between people. The tool actually works. But they did find two cracks in the floor. One, when the other person merely suspects that you used AI, everything sours. Less warmth, less trust, less goodwill. Because it turns out that the effort was the message. The stumbling, the imperfect, the cost you something words were proof that you cared. And two, they gave this a name that I haven't been able to put down. The machine becomes a moral crumple zone. When the conversation crashes, the blame folds onto the machine instead of you. We're not just outsourcing the writing, we're now outsourcing the responsibility. And the same scar shows up in medicine. The Lancet published a study last year. Doctors running colonoscopies with an AI assistant that spotted what human eyes miss. A great tool, genuinely better for patients. But working alone, their detection fell from 28% to 22% within months of adopting it. The skill didn't rest while the machine worked, it left. Writing, relationships, medicine, same shape every single time. The outcome gets better and something in the person gets smaller. And the thing that shrinks is never the result. It's the capacity, the authorship, the part of you that used to carry it. So slow down the moment of the handoff. Watch it like a game film. You look at the thing that you cannot carry and you say, not in words, but with your whole posture, I can't do this. And you look at the machine, you say, you can. You're more capable than I am. Take it from me. Give me the outcome and take the anxiety with it. Lean, trust, rely. Now hold that posture up to the light for just a minute because I want to tell you where I have seen this before. I'm a pastor, and for decades, I've done funerals for people in my community who don't have one. Families with a little faith, maybe none at all. I don't proselytize at funerals. That's not what the moment's for. What I do is I sit with the family beforehand. I learn about a life, the likes and the dislikes, the stories, the moment from 1974 that nobody can tell without crying and laughing. And then I stand up in front of that room and I lift a person off the page, somebody I never got to meet, so the family can see them clearly one more time. Now, for years, I prided myself in carrying all that in my head, every detail from that meeting held and honored. And then the years did what the years do. The details started slipping. And there's a balance in that room between writing things down the whole time and looking at people, looking at grieving mother in the eye. And I was losing that. I'd get back to my office and reach for things that were no longer up there. I knew about this tool called Otter. It records meetings, transcribes every word, remembers everything for months. Months. I circled it and couldn't touch it because it felt like betrayal. Like those meetings are the most sacred conversations I have. A family trusts me with their mother, and I'm going to hand her to a machine. I felt guilty before I ever pressed record. Now sit with that for a second. Guilty over a thing that I hadn't even done yet. Some part of me already understood that this was not a note taking decision. Then came a week with 3 funerals. Now, not all of them were ones I chose. Some were from my own church family. And I broke. I brought the phone, installed with Otter. Now, here's a part I want to say nice and loud because if I soften it, this whole episode is worth nothing. I asked the family's permission in the gentlest words I could find. I said, I've got a tool here. It's going to help me take notes. Is that all right? Now, every word of that is true, and every word was chosen so that nobody would look at it too long. You know what I mean? And I set the phone face down on the table so the screen wouldn't remind them that anything was listening. And I did take handwritten notes, thorough, throughout the whole meeting. Partly because I didn't trust that machine yet, and partly so that their eyes would have something human to look at while the machine listened underneath. I was transparent the way a machine had taught me to be, technically. I got back to my office. I opened up the transcript. The machine hadn't just remembered details I'd forgotten, it had recorded things I never caught in the room at all. And out of all of it, I built the truest representation of a life I have ever stood up and delivered. Decades of doing this. And the best one came the week I brought the machine. The family wept in a good way. The ministry was real. So let me say it as plainly as it deserves. My ministry was better because I used AI. That began my wrestling because the relief was real, and so was the bill. Now, listen carefully to me. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I am not telling you AI is a sin. I'm not telling you to delete the apps and, handwrite all of your emails by candlelight. I'm not telling you that if you just pray more, you wouldn't need the machine. That's the answer that sounds holy and it flat out helps nobody. Because here is the knot. If I pray about that hard email and it goes well, I actually write a great email, God gets the credit. If the machine writes it and it goes well, even better, then who gets the credit? And if the machine's version is really better for the relationship, better than mine would have been, no matter how long I prayed over my draft, do I owe the person I love the better email? I think I might. The church has stood at this exact corner before. For most of human history, when somebody got sick, the faithful did the only thing that there was to do. They prayed. And then one day a doctor walked in holding penicillin and a prayer that had been answered no for 4,000 years started getting answered yes by a molecule from bread mold. Did God lose his job that day? There was a battlefield surgeon in the 1500s named Ambrose who settled this in 6 words. His soldiers kept living when they shouldn't have. And when the people praised him for it, he said, I bandaged them, God healed them. The instrument did the work, God got the glory. And the road between those two things is the old, unfashionable word, thanks. A writer named Tony Reinke put the danger in a single line. Safer technology kills divine thankfulness. The unthanked tool, the gift with no giver, grace with the return address torn off. You don't have to give the relief back. You have to stop letting it carry your trust. I want to give you 3 moves. They cost you nothing but attention. You go first on anything that matters. The machine never gets the first draft of your thinking, not your words, not your decisions, not your prayers. That's the MIT finding with skin on it. The brains that stayed lit were the ones that went first. Write the ugly draft of the email, work your way through it, take your ugly draft, drop that into AI, and bring in the help that way. Secondly, you thank God after, out loud by name. When the email lands and the relationship holds, the words are, thank you, Lord, not good bot. That's Ambrose's math. The instrument worked and the glory travels home through the thanks. Gratitude is how the credit finds the right address. And every so often, run the test. That's third. The Lancet ran on those doctors. Take that tool away. One day, a week, one hard email maybe, carried alone with God, not because the machine is evil, but because, well, you need to know what's still there when it's off. It's not a punishment. Think of it as an inventory. You walked in here tired, and I'm not going to pretend that you shouldn't be. Being human is heavy. There was never a design flaw that you can't carry it alone. There's a proverb that's been sitting at this exact intersection for 3,000 years. Proverbs chapter 3. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. He shows you the path. He never said that you couldn't have help on the road. You could be tired and still stay in the seat. I still bring the phone to those family meetings. I still ask permission. I still take my notes by hand. The machine remembers what I can't anymore, but it has never once loved the family sitting in that room. That part never transfers. That part is mine and his. Next Thursday, we stay in the fog and we walk into the hardest room in it because you have been through hard things, real things, things that cost you. And here's the claim that I intend to defend. Most of the pain people carry ends up wasted, and it doesn't have to be. Next week is about the difference between suffering that only scars you and suffering that actually builds you. And who decides which one yours becomes? Think clearly, live faithfully. There are hard things all around us, and the question isn't, will it get to me? But what will I become because of it? Let's navigate it together with grace and grit. Come out hopeful. Grace with grit. I'll see you on the next one.
Hard things come, but you come through. Grace with grit, not a sight of way through.